Hello, my F through J friends. Welcome back to Cardvoyant. Kris, and I'm your Cardvoyant. And today we're doing a video for people with whose first name starts with the letter F through J. Just very, very briefly, this is something I've wanted to do for a long time, collective readings. But I'm not an astrologer. I know nothing about astrology. So it didn't feel like authentic or right for me to do these kinds of collective readings according to astrological sign. So I mulled it over like for 6 months at least. And finally, it just sort of came to me that this was a way to do it from your first name, first letter of your first name. It is the name that you go by, the name that feels right to you, the name that feels, perfect to you and feels like you, right? So if you are an Elizabeth, but you go by Liz, then, you do the L readings. If it's completely different from your first name, that's fine. Whatever, your nickname, whatever you want to use. But that's how we're doing it. So this is for May, and this is for people with whose first name starts with the letters F through J, with the letter F through J. So I'm doing this with my Rider-Waite deck, and I will be doing that for everybody this month. This is the deck I use whenever I'm reading for someone for the first time, because it is the most recognizable. It is, the deck that most other decks are built on. They carry much of the same or similar iconography. So let's do this. I read intuitively. I meditate beforehand, and as I'm shuffling the cards, I get a feeling for how many cards to use and what the spread should look like. I very seldom use clarifying cards. I mean, really rarely. But we'll see. We'll see what comes up. So let me just shuffle here. I'm not going to shuffle as long as I usually do. And if I end up doing that, I will cut that out of the video so you don't have to suffer through it. Also, what I generally ask is what you need to know, what it would be helpful to know, or what would be good for you to know. It's time, and this is obviously for the month of May. So, do one more shuffle here. I wasn't sure if I was going to use the same spread for everybody this month, and I still may not, because I haven't done all of the videos. But this 5-card spread, comes up a lot for me in a 1-hour reading. Not that this will be an hour, but I do 1-hour readings for people, and very seldom use more than 7 cards. 5 cards, a good, easy number for me. So let's see what we've got here. Okay, some interesting cards, and I have to say, overall, very, very positive cards, which is nice in these times, right? To have these positive cards. But your guides work like this. They want to they want to support you and help you. And so most often the messages are going to be positive, even if it's on a difficult subject. They're going to speak to you in positive terms. So very often when I have 2 cards on top like this, it talks about the current situation, like what's currently going on, to sort of acknowledge it, talk a little bit about it, and then the cards on below will often be more sort of predictive or instructive, that kind of thing. You've got 2 major arcana cards on the bottom, and if you don't know, In tarot, in a typical tarot deck, there are 78 cards, and only 22 of those are major arcana cards. So in a reading of only 5 cards, it's a little bit unusual to get 2, especially 2 together, right? And these major arcana cards talk about very big picture things. Sometimes the totality of a situation, sometimes, kind of looking into the future, your life, that kind of thing. A total personality, a total, umbrella of the situation. So we'll get to those. I read left to right, top to bottom. So let's start with this Ace of Swords. Now, in general, this is the only sword card you have. You've got 2 cups cards. Lovely. And this Ace of Swords, sword cards are about our mind, how we reason, how we analyze, right? How we think, sometimes about our memories, but very kind of physical. Our physical mind, right? They can talk about spiritual as well, especially when the card is pointing straight up or even sort of upwards. Many of the swords cards, they're parallel or they point down, and those are more challenging cards. This Ace of Swords is very positive. You can see how it pierces the crown here. That talks about this connection with the spiritual world that represents that, and it's talking about our minds being connected more to the spiritual world. For you all, this is talking about your connection to the spiritual. Now, your guides realize that in these times that are kind of chaotic and for many people very difficult in their personal lives, of course, but just kind of in the overall what's going on in society. Of course, our guides recognize that. Of course, they want to help us through that. And they're talking about this idea of spiritual connection. Ace cards are also new beginnings cards, and they're so encouraging you. They are so encouraging you to trust yourself, to understand that, of course, I mean, I can read for you, you can go for a reader, and that's fine in sort of whatever way you want to do that, in what other form. It doesn't have to be tarot. But they are assuring you of your connection. They are assuring you that you are with you. The people who are here right now, that includes each and every one of you, chose to be here because you wanted to assist, experience, guide, support the sort of humanity during what you knew would probably, we're talking about, possibilities and probabilities. We knew the probability of what these times were going to entail, right? And we wanted to be here. And so they are assuring you of that, right? There's a purpose for you being here. You very much wanted to. And in your personal life and in this sort of bigger picture life, they are assuring you of your own connection, your own ability to connect, the support that you have in trying to connect to the non-physical world, to your spirit guides, to the eternal, even the psychic, right? So trust your intuition. Very many of you will be spoken to through your dreams, and they want you to trust this also. And that's why it's a sword card, right? Because very often we wake up and we're like, well, that was weird. They want you to analyze it, to think about it, to go into sleep unafraid and open to messages that might come to you. I mean, during our sleep, this is when we actually connect literally, sometimes very often journey, our consciousness journeys out of our body and back into the non-physical world, or the non-physical world, but in different ways and different places even. But they are saying that even when you like, maybe you don't trust your intuition, or maybe you think I'm not psychic, I'm not at all, or maybe you sort of do, but you're not quite sure. This is why dreams are important, because we all sleep, and so they always will try to connect with you through your dreams. Not every dream, right? But if you have one that feels significant, but it doesn't have to be like, I knew the person was speaking to me. It can just be like it lingers in your mind. You wake up sometimes the next day and it's like, I had this dream and it was weird and I can't stop thinking about it. They want you also to know that the way that very often, especially when we are learning, right? We're new beginnings, right? We're learning these things, these connection things. Very often the best way to reach you is through symbolism. And it's incumbent upon us to learn, to think about, to connect the symbolism. It's very personal, right? Your guides will use very personal symbolism, but it's like, why was that, tiger eating a donut? Well, what does the tiger, what does that instinctually mean to you, right? Speaking of dogs. But like, what does it mean to you? Or animals? Not a lion, but a dog, not a tiger, just a dog. um, what does the tiger say to you? Does it mean bravery? Does it mean danger? You have a feeling about a tiger, right? They're beautiful, or they're scary, or they're fierce, or they're powerful, right? And then what does the donut represent? I mean, like, what do you think of when you think of donuts? I mean, is a donut vulnerable? Is it delicious? We know donuts are delicious, but what else does it mean to you, right? So this is up to you, and this is how they will work. And I mean, you can look at dream symbolism books, and some of them are rather universal, but so much of it is very much specific to you because your guides are talking to you, right? This is your guides. So they know you, right? So they're talking about this needed connection and the necessary connection, but also the available connection. It's so available to each of us. I know that keeping a dream journal is good and important. I have a really hard time with that. I do, just because I'm so tired. When I wake up, I'm like, but I do keep my phone close by. And if something is like that, where I wake up and I'm like, oh, that was, that dream, I will either do like a voice note in my phone or maybe even type it into my phone. And it's super simple and I can hopefully go back to sleep. So that is one kind of connection, but many of you are working on different kind of connection. And honestly, whatever resonates with you. That's why I work with tarot cards. They just kind of spoke to me. And that's honestly, that's why haven't learned a lot about astrology, because it hasn't resonated in the same way. But for many people, I mean, they're so good. There's so many good people there that I watch, like on YouTube and other places, that are just, they're kind of amazing. So if that's something that speaks to you, for sure. Or, there's people who like runes, or just kind of like psychic information that you're just trying to get as you meditate or connect to nature. That's what this card is about. There is an awakening happening overall, right? But individually, we're going through this as well. And for those of you who are interested, because you're tuning into this channel, right? So you're probably open to this kind of thing. They really, really want you to understand how connected you already are, how much you wanted to be here at this time, and how ready and willing your guides, and like the universe is to help you at this time, and to connect with you at this time for whatever reasons you need advice, comfort, support, love, hope, right? Assurance, those kinds of things. That's like, we're here for you. And in many ways, that's why you get this Two of Cups. Now, Cups cards are the feelings cards of tarot, right? Sword cards, air cards. The Cups cards water cards. And water is, in tarot, it speaks of the psychic, the eternal, the connection, very, very much about feelings, in the sense that our feelings are how we navigate Earth life. And so it's what it's what we might call our intuition, right? That's a feeling. So any feeling that you have is the tool that we are given in Earth life that doesn't exist in the non-physical world in the same way, or even kind of in a close way. Obviously, I hope obviously we have feelings in the non-physical world, but feelings in the physical world are very much a tool, and they do help us connect, understand. Um, they're there for us to evaluate, right? Like, I'm sure you have walked into a room and felt at some time like, I don't like it here. I don't like the vibe here. Or I love it. This is like, is welcoming, right? Or people that you feel that way about. They just are wonderful to be around and you love it. I mean, those feelings are really your intuition, right? They're connecting with your intuition. A lot of information that's in my Earth Energy book talks about that kind of feeling connection, that intuitive connection. I mean, that's how we connect to Earth energy as well. Here you see the two people. I mean, and we get this card often for love, for romance, and there is an element of this for you, but it can be romance. So some of you may be feeling that this month, but it is talking about all kinds of relationships and how important it is right now to connect with like-minded people. That energy builds when we are connected, that vibration of love and inclusion and hope and joy. It builds individually and sort of spreads into the universe. But when we are together with people who are like-minded, it sort of exponentially grows. So they are talking about those kinds of relationships. For people who are in relationships now, or sort of going into a relationship now, where your partner, the other person involved, is doesn't understand that kind of connection, um, belittles it, or kind of scoffs at it, that is an opportunity for you to really consider how well the relationship is working, and if it moves forward. There are many people who kind of like don't get it, but they encourage you. You're interested in it, so they're like accepting and interested in your happiness, and that's kind of a very different story. But the idea of like changing someone's mind when they are kind of dead set against it, or think it's foolish, or again, it depends on how they relate to you. Like they don't like you being interested in these kind of spiritual things, or again, they belittle you, or they actively try and stop you from kind of doing these things. That's a time to evaluate the relationship. That's one of the things they're trying to tell you. It's true in all things. It doesn't have to be spiritual matters. It's really important to evaluate a relationship where you are being made smaller, right? Where you are being made smaller. Love is, one of the definitions of love is the absence of judgment. And I would add that in relationships, it's not just the absence of judgments, it's the presence of support. That's part of the message here. But a big part of this message is talking about the two parts of self, right? The spiritual and the physical. And just like the Ace of Swords, that coming together. And as we sort of move forward from the place where we are now in society, as things begin to change, It's so important to know who you are, what you stand for, what you're trying to accomplish. And you don't have to change the world individually, but by changing yourself and connecting better yourself, and sort of very strongly leaning into the things that you feel are important, you do change the world, right? Because that vibration, that energy, and the things you do, and the people you are in contact with, they are affected by your energy, whether they know it or not. Whether it's like very obvious, or whether it's just like sort of like a drive-by energy touch, right? So it does start with us, right? It starts with us. So they're just encouraging you in this to bring together, sort of lovingly, these two parts of self, especially now and moving forward, because these are challenging, difficult times, but they are also a time of opportunity, a time to learn. And sometimes we learn best from, knowing what we don't want, right? And a time to move us forward as a species toward greater connection. When we have that greater connection, when this is more accepted, this understanding of the non-physical world and our connection to it, and the ability to communicate with it, our entire society will be able to, all societies, humanity will be able to move forward in so many ways, move forward in love and light that is in so many ways. I mean, in sort of everything we do and think. And that includes things like medicine and technology and education, and even things like music, and all these things that are intimately connected with both earth life and spiritual life. Of course, everything is interconnected, right? But we can grow so much in so many ways that we've sort of stalled at. Okay, so that's this for you, this Two of Cups, personal and big picture. When we're talking about these various readings for groups, I mean, obviously this could be for pretty much everyone, this kind of message, but for some reason, it's coming to you through J people, because it is particularly important to you at this time. Others maybe get part of this message, a similar message, or something kind of different. And I do believe as we go through month to month on this kind of readings, they will become more specific. And I mean, it's true with my own tarot clients. Sometimes as I read for people again and again over the years, they become much more specific, because this sort of general information has been given already, and hopefully they've acted on it. If not, they'll get the same information over and over again. But that's okay. That's your guides are always happy to help in whatever way they can. So let's look at these bottom three cards. These two cards, the Hierophant and the Strength card. The Hierophant, very much about institutions and things that are sort of have been set in stone, very often about dogma, whether it's religious, like in this card, depicted in this card, and about the strength of institutions, right? You can see these pillars here. They almost look like a box, how we're boxed in by institutional things. You can see the two supplicants down here, right? This card is very much talking about what's going on right now, how we have these sort of kingly figures in our society, especially in the United States, but they affect the whole world, and there are very many other countries and places, families, communities, organizations that have these same kind of autocratic, kingly individuals who sort of lay down the law, and we're, all expected to follow or not question. And then you have people who do that. Very many people who do that. They want you to draw parallels, because what's happening right now in the United States in particular, but in the world, is we are having these figures, these individuals emerge who are gathering power, and then, doing very self-serving things, and sometimes downright cruel things, to sort of lift themselves up, to feel that power. I mean, these are people who get souls who get lost in the density of earth life, who lose their ability to connect or deliberately cut it off, and choose instead to do these very physical things that are self-satisfying, self-aggrandizing, and that as they, many of these things include like power in all of its forms, greed in all of their forms. It's really fear-based stuff. It's stuff that leads us away from love and light and moves toward fear, anger, violence. Those are all fear-based things that people use to make themselves feel better, right? Make earth life, or physical life, feel better. So this is true very specifically in personal relationships, personal lives, but we're seeing it on this very large scale as well. Let me just ask what else we need to know about this. So I kind of left out the most important part. They're like showing me things falling down, like these pillars crumbling. That's what we are moving toward. Now, as a society, as people, we have to facilitate this, and our thoughts and our actions and our feelings are real, tangible things that can lead toward this sort of downfall of this consolidation of fear-based power. But we have to do that, right? If we all become these kind of supplicants, that is not going to happen. And it's not like, I mean, this is up to us, right? This is up to us. We have our free will as individuals, which means as societies as well. So it is incumbent upon us in our personal lives, in our communities, in our faith and faith-based institutions, in our workplaces, and in our countries and societies, to stand for love, to stand up for love, to have your actions moving toward love and light, which means joy and hope and curiosity and fun and acceptance and inclusion and beauty and joy. Those are all, and many other words, those are all love-based things, right? And love is always, always stronger than fear-based energy. So this Hierophant is acknowledging what's going on, but reminding us of our own power and the necessity of always sort of abiding in that. That's why you get the Strength card, because the Strength card is exactly what it says, right? Taming the savage beast, knowing that in the big picture, the infinity symbol, right? In the big picture, there is no power, right? There is no power that is eternally lasting, that will follow these people into the non-physical world. Quite the opposite. And yet love-based things, and anything built on love, so that can include your work, your whatever it is, based in love, whether you are a gardener or a plumber or a doctor or a musician or a painter. These are love-based things, when you're doing them for this sort of pure intentioned reason. This white in her garment talks about pure intention. You are growing something that lasts into the non-physical world, right? These roses, the garland around her talks about that growth. And that means that anything that's in the physical world is temporary. When you have this sort of inner strength that we talked about in the first two cards, that's a building of inner strength, then nothing can touch you, right? Nothing can really touch you, because you understand the truth of what's happening, and you have this confidence in your own ability to connect to joy and love and your soul, right? Your soul, your eternal self that is connected to your physical self. It's not like absent from you. It's connected in all ways, right? So you have this ability. They're urging you to remember that you have this ability. And if you're in a situation, a challenging situation, where you don't have control of another person, you always have control of yourself, right? You always have control of yourself. And sometimes there's situations, jobs, that you can't leave, like not at this very moment, like I've got to have a paycheck. You can still have this inner strength. You can still exude this love, right? That is joy and connection. You can still sort of act in that way, so that you spread that vibration, that joyful, loving vibration. And again, connect with like-minded people, and it builds that strength while you're looking for another job, or while you're finding a way to move away from the situation, while you are waiting for these pillars to crumble, right? And as you wait, if there are things that you can do, that's fantastic, right? The main thing here, and the main message here, is to move toward the King of Cups, because that's love and light. And that's what we're all trying to do. I mean, when we came into this physical world, we wanted to grow in some way. We wanted to learn. Sometimes we learn, or we understood that the way that we would learn, or even the best way to learn, was through very challenging circumstances. But we felt that we could grow in love and light. And again, the purpose of the universe is growth, expansion, right? And hopefully we expand toward love and light, toward all loving things, but all growth. Anything we do, say, think, feel in this physical world, beyond as well, but in this physical world, adds to the growth of the universe. Now, when it is fear-based, there is a balancing that needs to take place. The universe seeks to balance in love and light. So there is a balancing that needs to take place. There are several ways for this to happen, but we talk about karma, right? And karma is a balancing. That's what it is. It's a balancing to move toward love and light instead of toward fear. So although we had these individual goals, our goal overall was to grow, to learn, to experience, to try, right? To try, and to do all of these things while moving in a way that moves us toward love and light. So in a loving, caring, expansive, fun, joyous, inclusive way, right? And this King of Cups, now again, cups, feelings cards, right? But they so often talk about love and connection. Look at the water around him, right? He's like literally in water. He is so connected. This crown always also kind of talks like that. about that. His cloak here is blue because it mimics water, because that's how connected he is, right? And again, you have, of course, the cup, but the scepter. I mean, he sort of rules over this. He understands his feeling. He understands his connection. This is what we're trying to do. You start here in your reading with this Ace of Swords, talking about connection, talking about your physical self connecting with your guides and your soul self and the universe, right? The all that is, God, if you want to think of it that way. Talks about that, this very first card, and this last card. This, I always think of the last card as the cornerstone card. This is what, like, they want to leave you with this message, is talking about that same kind of connection, but mastery over it. Here we are beginning, right? But they're assuring us in everything, in your small things, in your relationships, in your work, in your community, in your family, or even extended family. They're assuring us of how this connection helps us to keep love and joy and possibility and hope and curiosity. In I was kind of interested in my Earth Energy book when it's a channeled work, and so often it includes the word curiosity. But think of how we grow and how we learn and how we like experiment with the things that we love or think we might love, right? That's curiosity. So it's very often included in the love and the joy and the empathy and the inclusion. And that is what this King of Cups represents and has. And we are like taking this path that we're moving through, and with the assurance that we can get there. Some of you, I'm sure many of you, sort of reside in this King of Cups vibration, this feeling, right? Where you are connected. And even if something challenging or difficult sort of comes your way or is in your life, and this can include people, right? You can still rest in your connection and your knowledge and your love and your understanding of eternity, earth life, and how we meet challenges here, the purpose of why we're here, and how some people get lost, right? They get lost in earth life is a very dense, heavy sort of vibration, very kind of low vibrational. And, we come into it very high vibrational, and that's what we aspire to, and some people just kind of lose it along the way and get very caught up in these very earthly things. Again, the thing that I mentioned: greed, power, domination, violence, anger, hate, exclusion, all of these things. Trying to feel better about themselves, trying to feel superior, good about their lives, when the truth of it is, love connects us. We are all connected. We are all equal. We're all a part of Source. So in that way, we're all the same. And this card reminds us of that connection, that this is where we're aspiring to go. And especially this month, when I think there may be, difficulties sort of geopolitically, but also in many sort of individual lives. Sometimes that happens. Spring is a time of rebirth, but it's also kind of a time of earthing. And sometimes May, as we sort of enter this season, we're like, oh, things are being reborn, things are being renewed. It reminds us of things, or sort of shakes up things to remind us of the things in our lives that are stagnant, that aren't being renewed, that aren't sort of growing, especially growing toward love and light. So this may be your job, your relationships, your affiliations with certain groups, whether they're religious or some sort of group or club or team or organization that felt right at one time but doesn't now, or you thought was one thing and it turns out to another. And they're encouraging you to sort of remember who you are, connect with that soul self, and moved your way into becoming the King of Cups. It's possible. It's possible. Not only possible, it's like everybody's pulling for it. Everybody wants you to get to this place. And I have to say that it's not a place that goes unchallenged, right? We don't become perfected and then we're just stagnant. I mean, that's sort of antithetical to what the universe is, right? If you're perfect, then why does the universe exist when its goal is expansion, right? Continued learning. So it's not about like I'm in this perfect sort of Zen state and then everything's fine. No, we'll meet with challenges, and our challenge and our opportunity is to sort of double down and say, no, this is who I am, and I remember what I'm about, and maybe I, go through this little period where I question, or I'm angry myself, or I'm sad. But then, take the time to connect, to learn, to grow. Maybe you read something, maybe you listen to music, maybe you put your feet on some grass, hug a tree. All of these things, and you're like, oh no, wait. Oh no, wait. I'm meant to have joy. I'm meant to be connected. I'm meant to experience happiness. I'm meant to be curious. I'm meant to grow and grow toward love and light. So that is your main message, big picture message, kind of small picture message as well. I wish you all the best. I do feel like the readings themselves will kind of evolve as we go on through the months, but I hope this is helpful to you. I hope it's meaningful to you for all of my F through J people. I did want to mention, if you have like a nickname that you prefer, but you like your name and it's a different letter, go ahead and watch that video too. See if things from that resonate as well. All of these videos so far have had, big messages as well, so feel free to watch as many as you want. But for whatever reasons, this is specific to those of you, or meant for those of you, or this is what they particularly wanted you to hear if your first name begins with the letter F, G-H-I-J. So there you have it. I hope you'll come back next time. I hope you tune into other videos that I hope to be doing throughout the month until this next collective reading. If you are new here, welcome. I'm so happy you're here. And please come back again. So until then, I'll just say bye for now.